and welcome to another video. So in this video I want to be talking about smart things and how I use a lot of smart things to make my life a lot easier, and how I want to improve it in the future, but I'm sort of just starting off with it, getting used to it and stuff like that, and I'm slowly adding to my system. So I want to show you, go over the smart things that I've got at the minute and see if it may give you any ideas on how you can make your keeping life a little bit easier. So my smart system uses Alexa, so I'm going to be saying the word Alexa in this video quite a lot probably. So if you've got one that can hear me, you might want to mute it. So we're starting with this tank because it's the first one that, this is the first one you come to at my house. So we're starting here and working our way around some of the smart things. So the first one I want to talk about with this tank is one of my favourites. So with heated ponds, such as this one, it's not too bad with this one being having a polycarbonate roof on it, so it gets quite a lot of daylight. My other tank's not quite so lucky, so it's got quite a lot of artificial lighting on it all the time. But this tank has also got an artificial light on it, and basically in winter obviously it goes dark at 3 o'clock and sometimes it doesn't even get light, and I like the fish when they're heated, I like them to have a lot of light because the temperature's simulating summer conditions, so I want the lighting to simulate summer conditions. So with this particular one, because I don't need it on during the day, so it's not on now, as you can see it's switched off, I need it to come on when it goes dark, and I found setting it on a timer was quite annoying. What you tend to do with a timer is you set it to either a ridiculous time, so you set it to come on at like 2 o'clock, so it basically covers everything, or you end up adjusting it like 10 minutes at least every week to try and be on at sunset. So one of the really good things that Alexa does is she can turn things on at sunset, or say an hour before sunset, or sunrise even if you want that. And so basically I've got a smart plug here, this smart plug, and this connects via Wi-Fi, and the Alexa can control it, and basically she turns this on 1 hour before sunset. And the reason 1 hour before is because at sunset it's usually quite dark, and then if this turns on at sunset it flashes, basically it just gets really bright quickly, whereas if it turns on an hour before sunset it's usually about as bright as the light actually is, so the fish don't notice it coming on, and then an hour later it's sunset and everything. And so the time it comes on changes all the time, it literally always comes on an hour before sunset thanks to Alexa, and I can just manually press that button and turn it on and off. So that's really useful. I love that feature. I can also voice turn it on, but I can never remember the voice code I set for that one. But there we go. So let's have a look at some other things. So I also have a ring alarm system in the house. So all the doors have got these ring alarm systems, sensors on them, and the PIR ones for motion detection. In fact, the motion detection one's slightly annoying in here because having a polycarbonate roof, when it's very sunny in summer, it can detect motion from the sun, so that can be a little bit annoying, that one. But on very low sensitivity it doesn't do it. But this one's incredibly useful. So the door sensors I found very useful. One of the things I do with this place is I have a heater. I have this dehumidifier here. So the dehumidifier keeps the humidity down, keeps it nice. I used to cover this pond up, but it ended up, the humidity sort of escaped and ended up rotting everything because it was so cold in here. So I've ended up just putting a dehumidifier on. So what I tend to do is during the day I just open the door. The dehumidifier is only on at night. So basically when you open the door, see, I don't know if you could hear that, but when you open the door, the ring alarm system knows that the door's open, and through Alexa she turns the dehumidifier off through, again, one of these smart sockets, that one. So these are the smart sockets that I use. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in what these ones actually are, because I have no idea. This one says Kusa on it, but I tend to get these ones. They work quite well. Don't put too much power through them. Obviously my dehumidifier is about 400 watts, so I think that'd be my limit. This one's actually powering my Christmas lights, and again this one comes on at sunset, so it's turning my Christmas lights on at sunset, which is quite nice. And then if you shut this door again, you got to give it 10 seconds. So I put a 10-second delay on this one because basically if you open the door straight away, you should turn it off and not turn it back on. So I put a 10-second delay for it turning back on. There we go, and now it's back on. I put a 10-second delay back for it coming back on so that it always turned it back on and never sort of forgot to. So that's the smart things in here. Oh, actually there's another one, I'm forgetting. So what I tend to do as well when I'm showing people fish, I tend to turn the air pump off. And I got to the point where I was showing people fish and then I'd forget to turn the air pump back on. And with the amount of fish that I've got in here that do not like not having the air pump on, the oxygen levels go down pretty quick, so the fish get quite sad. So basically I press this button here and then the air pump goes off, and I think Alexa even...
Air off.
There we go. Alexa even says air off. Because I put a little Alexa in the corner just to talk.
Atmosphere. A layer of gases surrounding the planet.
She's talking because she can hear me keep saying Alexa. And one of them things that you get, you'll end up talking to you. So she turns that off now. Now I've pressed that button for 10 minutes. And then after 9 minutes and 50 seconds, she gives me a 10-second warning that it's going to be turned back on. Because quite often you can be messing about not wanting it to come back on. It's just nice that she tells you, but I'm not going to wait around 10 minutes because that's going to make a really long video. Unfortunately you can't get these buttons anymore, much to my annoyance. They are incredibly useful. You can sort of get them used on eBay, but for some reason you can't get them anymore. But you could do other things to turn it off. There's new types of them buttons, but not that particular one. So yeah, this air will come back on in 10 minutes, unless I say, Alexa, turn air pump on.
Okay.
There we go. So I can do it with the voice command. And I know it sounds a bit lazy as well, but the actual switch for it is in the little shed out back here, which is usually locked. So if I need the air off, I've usually got to go into the house, get the key, then get in there. It's just a palaver. So having being able to remotely turn it off when I'm just showing somebody some fish is just incredibly useful. And obviously she automatically turns it back on as well, which is just great, because if she doesn't, then the fish get very unhappy. And I can check remotely that it's actually switched on, so I can check on my phone that it's switched on. Right, so let's go and have a look at some of the other things that I've got. So here we are with the main pond. This is one of my ones that I like and use the most, because it's an absolute pain in the neck every time I wanted to use this feature and I didn't have it automatic, is filling the pond up, which might make it a little bit difficult because the fish are making a lot of noise. But Alexa, turn pond water on. There we go. And now she starts filling the pond up. That is incredibly useful, because the thing to turn it on is in the basement. And I can guarantee you the only reason the water level has dropped in here is because I'm messing about with something. And usually because I'm messing about with something, I put something really heavy on top of the trapdoor, which means I can't get in the basement easily. So I've got to move everything out and get in the basement, turn the water on, and I'll show you in a second just how I do this. In fact, let's skip to the basement now. So here we are in the basement by the air pump. So we can see that I've used one of them same switches again that I used to turn all the lights on and everything, but it's plugged into this 12-volt transformer. And then over here behind the air pump, just let me see if I can get the camera in, is a solenoid valve. This is a 12-volt solenoid valve. Basically just takes in 12-volt power and opens the valve up. It's a 1-inch one, because this is a 1-inch water line. And basically, if I just manually turn it on, you can hear it click. Let me see if I can hear it. There we go. You can hear it click, opening the valve to let the water in. So when you tell Alexa to turn the pond water on, she just powers that valve and it opens. Really simple way of doing it. You can get 240 volt ones. These are mains powered, so you wouldn't need the little transformer. You literally just need to plug that straight in. I have the transformer one because my old system that used to use it was 12 volts, and I've got a 12 volt system in the fish house. A bit irrelevant, but I've got this 12-volt system in here that powers my internet and all that sort of stuff, which powers Alexa and all that. And basically this transformer here keeps this battery charged, and then if the power goes out, my internet and all my smart things keep working, and that way I've no problem with it all starting back up fine again. So a couple while we're down here is this pressure washer is hidden out of the way, and that is also turned on by one of them smart switches. In fact, this pressure washer is probably the most power demanding thing because it's about 1.1 kilowatt, but it's only on for very short periods of time, so it doesn't bother it. I've also got the UV lights. So these two are the UV lights in the drum filters. They're on a smart switch that's always on. And basically, what I had a trouble with is I'd need to look in the drum filter, or I want to show somebody in the drum filter, and you'd end up stood there for a few minutes and you think, I'm basically just staring at a UV light here. So all I've got to do now is say to Alexa, turn UV light off, and I can look in my drum filters without having to stare at a UV light. So that's incredibly useful. That's one of the features I've got there. So while we're here, this is doing great. Absolutely love it. Not had too many issues with it since I've put this on, so I can easily monitor the air and what's going through it, and it stays pretty well level in it. And so it's funny enough, it's very similar to having a barometer, so it can predict the weather. When it's going to rain, the pressure, the low air pressure lets the water come up a little bit like that, and then when it's going to be really sunny, the high air pressure pushes the water down. It's quite interesting. You wouldn't think it'd have any effect on it, but it does seem to. Either that, or it could be something to do with my solar panels, that when it's sunny they generate more voltage, so the air pump's a little bit more powerful, so when it's sunny it pushes more air in. So that could be, it could work either way. But yeah, so they're the smart things in the basement, and we'll have a look upstairs at how they work. So when I want to have a look at my drum filter, I can go, Alexa, turn UV lights off. Boom, UV lights off. Alexa, turn pressure washer on. Yeah, there we go. It's quite useful. Let the water out there. There we go. So I still need to turn the water on manually, just there. I forgot somehow. So yeah, I could just then clean that down quite easily without messing about. And just makes my life a lot easier. I don't have to keep going into the basement to mess about with the UV lights and mess about with the pressure washer. I can just basically turn them on remotely. Another point with the pressure washer as well is I wanted it in the basement out of the way because I didn't want, I mean the floor in here is pretty dead. So I've got laminate flooring in here. It's been flooded that many times over the past however many years. It's pretty dead, but I didn't want the pressure washer up here because it does leak. No matter what you do, it always drips a little bit of water. So the pressure washer's out of the way in the basement, and I can just remotely turn it on and mess about with it without having to take the trapdoor up. So that's that. The final one, and as with all these things, I absolutely love my smart things, they're so useful, is the pond vacuum, which featured briefly in the other video. So back here I've got a long piece of pipe just here, all hiding around here. Let's have a look at it, see if we can get it all out. This is just a long piece of inch and a half hose. Let's pull it all out like so, and then I open this valve here. In fact, I need to go into the basement again because I forgot to record it. Anyway, Alexa, turn pond vacuum on. There we go. So now I've got a vacuum, just like that. I've got a nice little vacuum cleaner, and it's taking the water into the basement where it drops it into the well, and the well pumps it away. And so just leave that on. So I turn it off. So I can say, Alexa, turn pond vacuum off. And another one as well with this is, because I'm above the water level, all I've got to do is start a siphon out of here. So if I'm sucking the water out of the drums, I just want a siphon, so I'll say to Alexa, Alexa, pond cleaning. There we go, and she'll run it for 5 seconds. Oh, 3, 2, 1. And turn it off. So she just basically started the siphon, and then the water can just be emptying out. Because if you leave the vac on, the vac gets blocked, and then water starts going everywhere. This keeps siphoning, stuffs loads of water into my pond vac's motor, which is a pain in the neck. And sometimes she doesn't hear you, especially when you're running the vacuum and it's going, it's sucking like crazy, making loads of noise, and you're screaming at Alexa saying turn pond vacuum off. Makes you look a bit silly. So that's the final smart thing really that I've got in here, apart from the lighting. This really bright light is controlled by Alexa, and these 2 lights are, but only for simplicity really. They're basically just on a timer, these, so they come on at 7 o'clock in the morning, turn off at 11 o'clock at night. The bright one comes on at 10 o'clock in the morning and turns off at 6 o'clock at night. I don't have it on any daylight things or like that then. But one of the advantages of that is I can turn them on remotely, which is brilliant. So I've got the security camera here, and the security cameras don't see very well into the water. They could probably only see a couple of inches under the water. So if you think something's going off, you can then turn the lights on remotely and look on the security camera. You know, this is if I'm not in the house. And see that everything's fine or something's going wrong, which is a really handy feature to have. I use that on the main pond quite a bit. So with the main pond, I can turn the lights on and off remotely. So Alexa, lights on. There we go. So these ones are Philips Hue bulbs, all these, there's 4 in each lamp. I sort of made them, put them together. These 2, I were going to put Philips Hue bulbs in it, but I just couldn't be bothered because I figured if I pulled them out I'd end up pulling the ceiling down with it. So they're just on a Philips Hue switch, which is the best switch to get. It's just quite expensive. They're like 30 quid each rather than 30 quid for 3 as the other ones are. But because I've used the Philips Hue system in here to turn everything on and off, I needed to get that Philips Hue one for them 2 lights. The big lights though, the pond don't do it, but these ones are colour changing. So Alexa, lights red. One of the things I find quite interesting as well is fish hate the colour red. Okay, so she leaves that one white. That's one of the trouble with having quite a lot of bulbs. She's turned them all to red, except for that one. It's not being connected at the time. Whatever. Fish kind of hate the colour red. I think it's probably because if the water turns to red, then there's a lot of blood in the water. And if I do that at night, they kind of jump out. You know, they start going a bit crazy. The fry love it. If I turn the red lights red, the fry will be dying for some food. But if I do it with these, they don't like it. So just to point out that they don't like red light too much. But let's have a look at the basement again. So here we are with the pond vac. So this is my little tough vac cleaner thing, just some cheap vac that I got from somewhere. And I basically chucked it on this little stand. Water comes out of the water comes out of the outlet permanently, and then it falls into the well. And on the other end of this, which I don't think you'll be able to see if I lift it up, let's have a look. So on the other end of that, you can kind of see it there. There's a non-return valve, so when the vac is sucking, it sucks against the non-return valve, not letting any water or air in this end. And then when the vac stops, the water pressure of this vac being high up here opens the valve and lets the water go into this pit, to which point the pump pumps it down the drain. So that's quite handy. And then the inlet side goes up to this pipe up here. There's a non-return valve in it for absolutely no reason, and then it comes up and then connects just here behind these pipe, connects to the flexible hose just there. I don't know if you can see it really well, but this pipe, a little bit overkill, a 2-inch high pressure pipe and having a non-return valve in it. This used to be the pipeline to my bead filter when I used to have it there, and it sort of just stayed here. So this line's been here since my bead filter being in, and I just thought, well, that'd be quite useful. So so I plumbed this into it and did that. And basically one of these switches again is what turns it on and off. So that's quite handy. That's it. I do plan to change things around. So I'd really like to add more smart things as time goes on, and really, you know, with the I don't need it turning the pumps off on the pond. I don't see really any use to that. I never turn them off anyway. UV lights to turn off. The air pump would be quite an handy one to have on it, but on this pond, but I don't at the minute. Just haven't got around to it really. Don't know, some basically things. So there is a couple on the fry tank that so on the fry tank, one of the things that can happen with this is that drain can get blocked and block my drum filter, and my drum filter gets jammed on. So it might be of an advantage if I could actually turn the water off. Turn the water on to this, so I could be able to turn main fresh water flowing in, or turn the pump off, or even bypass. One of the things I could do is bypass the filtration system, so the pump literally recirculates all its water around the drum filter, which could be an handy one to have. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, but it might be a future project, and I might make a video on it. If this video gets enough interest and people like it, I'll probably make more smart videos. So if you like this video, then please like it. If you have any questions or comments, then please put them down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.